Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a top 10. Again, I've not done many top 10s. I mean, when I first started doing movies on my channel, I was absolutely full of them, wasn't I? Top 10 slasher films, top 10 this and that. But I've not done one for a long time. But tonight's one, or today's one, is a bit different because I'm going to go through my top 10 favourite movies that are not horror. Okay, so this is a non-horror video. So this is my top 10 favourite movies that are non-horror. So it was quite difficult because most films, even if they're not horror, there's some form of horror element about them. So I tried my utmost best, guys, to get through ones that don't have any horror elements in it. But I believe one just has a slight sort of horror element to it. But before I get to my 10, I have two honourable mentions that were so close to getting in the top 10, but you can only fit 10 in 10, right? So I sort of struggled a little bit, thinking, okay, I want that one in there. So it was a bit difficult. So I'm going to give these two honourable mentions that would have been in there. And this one you're going to be a bit shocked by because it's so not my type of movie, but I just love it. And it's Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant in Notting Hill. I know. It's one of those sort of, those sort of things, and you say, what is your sort of thing you shouldn't like, but you like? And I like this for some reason. I think because of the setting being in London, and I love London so much. It's really well acted out, it's really well scripted, and it's a great little story about an actress, a famous actress that stumbles into a bookshop in Notting Hill, run by Hugh Grant, and a relationship sort of goes back and forth, and it's got some wonderful characters in the film. Really cool, extremely well acted. It's just a good comfort film, I'd say. When I'm feeling a bit down or a bit low, and or I've had a busy week and I want something comfortable to look, Notting Hill, or sometimes Love Actually, which is also a good sort of like rom-com. Now there's a weird one, isn't it? Like in a rom-com, and I do like that. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. You never know. Humans are weird things, and I'm no exception to anyone else. But the other honourable mention was just pipped out, and I'm thinking, oh, should it really be an honourable mention? Can't I do a top 11? But it is an honourable mention, and it's Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, based in this sort of a mental health institution in the 1970s. He's a low petty criminal crook that keeps reoffending, and he's been given either to go to this hospital for treatment or to go to prison. So he volunteers to go to the hospital, and it's about the character study of the people that are in there, with a wonderful cast. Jack Nicholson's in there, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd. It's a stellar cast, and it's quite it's got black comedy sort of going on throughout the film, but it's a very dark kind of film, seeing the sort of dark side of it. It deals with different subjects of maybe staff abuse, if you like, or patients, of exceeding their power. It tackles suicide. It tackles loads of sort of very touchy sort of subjects, but it's all handled in a very tasteful way. It's a very cool, well acted film. So they are my two honourable mentions. I said I know you're a bit shocked with that one. You're probably still recovering, right? But there we go. Top 10 time then. So number 10 is a Scottish comedy by Bill Forsyth, and it's Gregory's Girl. I absolutely adore this film. It's another comfort film, but it's a creature comfort. It's another comfort film to me. Amazing film. So cool. This is BFI's release of the film. It's wonderful, about this young lad at school, and it's played by Gordon Sinclair, and he's fallen for a girl that joins the football team. and he's trying his best to get dates with her. And while this is all going on, we discover that there's actually a girl in the school that actually likes him, and you see him and his mates buffooning around as he tries to sort of get a date with this girl. It's a wonderfully acted and incredible British comedy. It's just so cool. And again, it's a film that I go to loads to watch when I want to feel good. I have 3 films I really watch a lot when I want to feel good: Notting Hill, Gregory's Girl, and one called A Perfect Day, which is a Japanese film. But yeah, I absolutely adore this film. Really cool. This is a great release from BFI, by the way. It is a 4K edition, and it does come with like a booklet, and it comes with the movie in 4K. It's a really nice release from them. It is available on Blu-ray as well. I do recommend getting it if you're into sort of like British films, and I do class this as a classic. This is a region-free release, so it is available everywhere. It's such a cool release, and it's such a great film. I love my humour, as you well know. I will be doing some, I've not done it for a long time. I'm going to go through some recommendations of British sitcoms. I've not done it for quite a while. I have done my top 10, which you know is Royal Family, Only Fools and Horses and all that. But I'm going to do sort of like a 5 that I highly recommend watching, if I haven't already done it. I might have already done it. I'm so stupid. I don't know. I think I've already done it. But yeah, Gregory's Girl. It's an absolutely fantastic film. I highly recommend it. Watching it if you can. I'm just going to try and raise my camera slightly, guys, if I can. I just find it a little bit low. Just don't want to show the table on there. There we go. It's probably a bit better. So yeah, Gregory's Girl is my number 10 of my favourite movies that are non-horror. Number 9 is a classic 70s cop film about a serial killer being chased by a sort of maverick kind of cop, and it's Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood. This is the 4K release from Warner Brothers that I've received from my dearest friend Gary. It's really cool. It's a great addition to my collection, but it's an amazing film. And like I said, he plays Harry Cunningham, is a cop who doesn't sort of like hold any bars, and he is here to sort of fight off this serial killer who the Scorpio, and he is played by the guy from Hellraiser. Really cool, and it just plays out so well. It's such a well scripted film. It's well plotted. When you think the film can end here, it doesn't. It carries on and takes another row. It's got an amazing soundtrack. I do own the soundtrack to this film as well, because it's such a wonderful sort of 1970s sort of jazz kind of soundtrack. It's incredible. It's an amazing film, and it's my 9th favourite film that isn't horror, is Dirty Harry. I've got another comedy next, and this is a classic, I think, from the 70s. I do believe this is a 1970 film, or it could be 79 or 1980. It bridges that border, but it's Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in Stir Crazy. Let's have a look. 1980. So yeah, it's an incredible film, which I have reviewed on my channel, about these two friends that are sort of down on luck, and they're trying to make, you know, they both lose their jobs, and they decide to go on this road trip to move and try to start all over again. And they get a job in the bank, and as dressed up as these birds, sort of promotional sort of thing. And whilst they're on the break, out at lunch, these criminals come in and they steal these uniforms, and then they rob the bank. And then when they come back, they get blamed for it, and they get taken off to prison for all the wrong reasons. And then it turns into like a prison sort of break kind of film. It's really cool, really funny. It's just hysterically funny. It's got some great jokes. It's got some great sort of bit of slapstick going on in there. But it is a wonderful, wonderful film, and anything Gene Wilder touches is amazing, and this is no exception. So that is my number 8 favorite film that isn't horror, and that is Stir Crazy. Number 7, you're going to shout at me because it's still sealed, but I haven't needed to open it yet because I've not watched it since I've upgraded it. But it is one of my favourite films of all time, and it's Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. So this is the 4K Steelbook release that I bought, not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, 2024, and I still haven't opened it. It's still sealed, look. Yeah, and I will. Just that the problem is, what happened was, before Christmas, around about sort of November, December time, I watched it on my Blu-ray. I've got the Blu-ray somewhere. I watched it on my Blu-ray, and I thought, do you know what? I would love to get that on 4K. And it got released on 4K just before Christmas, just by coincidence. So when I got me vouchers, I upgraded it to 4K. So I haven't watched the transfer yet. I really, really should get onto it, and maybe even review it on my channel, because I haven't reviewed it or anything. It is a Martin Scorsese film, and it's probably my favourite Martin Scorsese film, I think. Yeah, I'm sure none of these are Martin Scorsese, but yeah, I absolutely love this film. Wonderful, wonderful film about this ex-soldier who lives in New York, and he's got himself a job as a late night kind of taxi driver, where he sees everything going on with all the sort of drug users, the pimps. He sees all these sort of all the sort of the bad things about life that happen at night time, and he sort of falls for this young woman who's standing for I think like a mayor sort of for New York, and he tries to date her, and it all goes pear-shaped, and I think that doesn't help him. It sort of drives him over the edge on his mental state. And there's also a young girl in the film played by Jodie Foster, who he feels akin to, like he feels sorry for her because she's so young. She's been dragged into this sort of ring of prostitution. Anyway, it all gets too much to him, and he goes over the top and blows his top. It's an incredible film. Does it have any horror elements? No, but it does have violent elements in there. It's a very, very cool film. Really like it. And that is my 7th favourite film that isn't horror, and that is Taxi Driver. Now, before we go any further, you're going to be thinking, where's the Jurassic Parks, Jock? Because they're your favourite franchise out of horror. Yes, it is, but it's got horror elements. They're monster films, right? They are creature features, so I couldn't put them in here. So that's why, if you're thinking there's no Jurassic Park in there, that's why. Anyway, carry on. Number 6 is a film by Richard Attenborough, and I absolutely love this film. It's just absolutely wonderful, starring Ben Kingsley, and it's called Gandhi, based on Mahatma Gandhi, who was who fought back against the British sort of occupation and regime that in India, and he was like a peaceful kind of man that tried to settle ways and change the world and change India through peaceful things like hunger strikes, while doing long walks across the country, and he gathered up thousands and thousands of followers, and it was noted and became noted around the world in newspapers, and lots of world leaders started to appreciate Gandhi, and royal families and stuff like that, and all this sort of things go on. And it's about his story, it's his life story, it is a true story about him sort of opposing the British sort of like empire of India. And it's a compelling story. It is a major watch. You know, it is quite a long film, if I remember right. Again, I've not seen it for a few years now, to see if I can see the time on the actual film. How long it runs for. I remember it being quite a long movie. I saw this in the cinema about 5 times. I went night after night after night. 191 minutes. So yeah, it's an epic film. Ben Kingsley, Candice Bergman, Edward Fox, Trevor Howard, John Mills, Martin Sheen. So it's got quite a big cast as well. And it's a true life story of Mahatma Gandhi. And it's wonderfully played out. It's beautifully shot. But this needs a 4K release, I think, here in the UK. I don't know if it's had one. It might have had one in a box set. Yeah, I know that they did do box sets, Sony, with like loads of movies in there. But I don't think it's had an individual release on its own. I need to research it because I would love this on 4K because I do love this film. It's my Lawrence of Arabia. Everyone screams about Lawrence of Arabia, which is an incredible film. It's not in here, I'm afraid. Wrong reason being because I don't own it. I do want to get that at some point, but yeah. But I love this film. It's such an epic story, an amazing story of peace, harmony, and how dangerous that can be. Yeah, wonderful film, and there's some harrowing moments in the film. So it can be a little bit of a hard watch. It sometimes makes you feel a little bit ashamed of being British, just because the way they treated the people of India at this period of time. But it is a wonderful watch. So that is my 6th favourite film that isn't horror, and that's Gandhi. So we're down to the top 5, and number 5 is a genre film, and it's my favourite of the genre. It's a Western with Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and Richard Harris, and you all know it's Unforgiven. It's my favourite Western of all time. It's an incredible film, done quite late in Clint Eastwood's sort of major Western role in his career. He's made loads of films since then, but as Westerns, I've not seen too many of him in it. He plays like an old sort of gunslinger, as renowned to sort of just being, trigger happy and killing people and stuff like that. And he stars as an old gun, but he's given that all up, and he lives in the farm with his 2 kids. His wife's long gone, died, and he's trying to bring them up the best he can. In the local town, not too far away, a young prostitute there gets raped by this gang, and they send off for a bounty to try and kill the people that done it. And the people that have done it also are being protected by the sheriff, because he's not a nice sheriff, and he's played by Gene Hackman. He, on his route there to do the job, he picks up his old friend called I can't remember the character's name, but played by Morgan Freeman, to assist him on doing this job, just so they can sort some money out, so they can make their lives a little bit easier. And it tells the story of that and the problems that occur with this, and if they actually get the final job done. It's an absolutely incredible film. It's such a cool Western with an amazing soundtrack. I've tried buying the CD soundtrack of this film, but it goes for stupid money. And it is wonderful on 4K. If you haven't picked it up, it is definitely worth a pickup on 4K. So my 5th favourite movie that isn't horror is Unforgiven. Number 4 is another true story. I did like my true stories, don't I? This is an Alan Parker film from the 1970s. A really cool film. I absolutely loved it so much, and it's called Midnight Express. It's another prison film. There's more prison films to come, and I've just noticed that there's about 4 prison films in this top 10. We've already had one, didn't we? We had Stir Crazy, and now we've got Midnight Express. Now this is based on a true story based in Turkey, and we have an American who's trying to smuggle out drugs back to America. I'm trying to see if we got the cast down here. He's played by Brad Davis, but it also has Randy Quaid in it and John Hurt. And it's incredible. It's he gets caught, and he ends up going to a Turkish prison, and it's about his trying to survive Turkish prisons, which are renowned for being some of the hardest and harshest prisons, especially in the 1960s and 1970s. They were renowned for being the worst prisons ever, anywhere, and they would put you away for 50 years for shoplifting. You know, they weren't because of how that country's beliefs and their religion beliefs. Some things are more serious than others, and you would get locked up for doing something simple like that. But obviously, he's got caught with kilos and kilos of drugs, and he's got to spend pretty much his life in there, and it's about his family's fight to try and get him out, so he can go to America, maybe stand trial there where it'd be less harsher on him, and ultimately he tries to sort of escape the prison. So does he? You need to sort of watch it and find out. It's an incredible film, and again, it's another film that really needs a 4K upgrade. I've not seen it on 4K anywhere, but I would love this to come out on 4K. Really, really cool film. It's embedded in my heart. I fell in love with this film when I was really young. I got to see this probably in the early 80s, and I was just obsessed with it. My granddad, my step-granddad, my granddad Fred, he loved the music to this film. So when I hear the music, I heard the music first because he had this he had a record of it in his house and he used to play it all the time, and I fell in love with the music because the music's by Giorgio Moroder. The screenplayed by Oliver Stone as well. So there's so much work gone into this film. I never really think of it. And I don't know if it's in one of the Columbia box sets. It may well be. But he loved the music, and I fell in love with the music. And I said to him, "Have you seen that film?" He said, "It's an amazing film." I think he must have gone to see it at the cinema, and he told me how amazing it was. Now I couldn't go and see it because it was an 18 certificate, and I was 12, 13, 14. So when it actually came out and got a release on VHS, I did buy a copy, and I fell in love with the film. And it's been a love affair with this film since. It's an amazing film, so well acted, such a downbeat, very sort of depressing storyline, and it is quite a depressing film. There's no humour in it whatsoever, but it's amazing. So my fourth favourite film that isn't a horror film is Midnight Express. So sticking with prisons at number 3 is another film. Now I did tell you the story of this in one of my other videos, that I went to see it at cinema for a whole week. I went every night after school to go and see it, and then I took my mum to see it. I just fell in love with this film so much. It's a film starring Tom Conti, Richie Sakamoto and David Bowie, and it's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. It's another prison film, this time a war prison film based in a Japanese prisoner of war camp in World War II. Rishi Sakamoto plays this captain that runs this camp, and there's lots of English soldiers in this camp, and they're led by I'm trying to find a name for him in here. Tom Conti is the character's name, but Tom Conti is like their sort of captain. Here we go, Lieutenant Colonel Lawrence. So yeah, and it's about his sort of fight for survival in this camp. And it also stars the wonderful Takeshi Kitano. He stars in it as Sergeant Hara. And he's just trying to get his troops through because the Japanese were merciless in their prison camps. They used to torture, kill, and do everything to the British soldiers, although you're not supposed to under the Geneva Convention. If you're a prisoner of camp, you have to be treated as a prisoner and respected, but they used to work them to the ground you know, doing building construction things, which was covered again in Bridge of the River Kwai, which was another Japanese film, prisoner of war film, and they were really harsh to the British troops. And then Jack Celliers gets captured, and he's a British soldier played by David Bowie, and he is being sent to this camp, and Captain O'Hara, I believe, what's his name originally? Sakamoto. Captain, Captain Yoni by Sakamoto is taken to him. Now, if it's if he's attracted to him, I'm not sure. It's kind of indicated like that because he's really taken to him and he wants him to be looked after, and it bonds around Sakamoto's sort of like wanting to form this kind of relationship with Celliers, David Bowie's character, and then knowing that he can't because it's forbidden, and Bowie sort of pushing those boundaries, and that sort of relationship sort of like it falls apart, and where because Sakamoto's pride takes over. His pride is honourable because he really follows the way of the samurai, and he practices like the samurai kind of life, and he's very strong into that. So it's kind of forbidden. It's a forbidden love almost, sort of like underlined going on underneath all this Japanese prisoner of war camp sort of thing, and it's a really, really wonderful film, and it's sort of mixed up with flashbacks. We have flashbacks of like when Bowie was a young boy back at the school days and he was bullied, and or his brother was bullied and he didn't stand up for him, so there's a lot of shame going on, and it covers a lot of human sort of emotions and ground over they've all been put into this situation where if things were different they wouldn't be this way, you know. Relationships probably formed, friendships were being born out of it, and because they're both of these sides are in this sort of relationship that they've been forced into, it sort of tears people apart, and it's quite heartbreaking a lot of times, but it's kind of it's a wonderful watch, a very, very it's one of those films that really draws you in because of the amazing characters. Extremely well acted. Again, I believe it's based on a true story because it is written by... who was this written by again? I think it's a true story. Not quite sure. I just believed it was a true story. I don't know where I got that from. But anyway, it's a wonderful film based in 1942, World War II, a prison film, and it's called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and that is my third favourite film that isn't horror. Sticking with prisons, at number 2, I have another prison film by Jim Jarmusch, who I absolutely adore, wonderful director, and we have Down by Law. This is released on Criterion. It's a fantastic film about 3 inmates in a prison. This is directed by Jim Jarmusch. We have in here Roberto Benigni, John Lurie and Tom Waits as the 3 prisoners, and they've all been forced into this sort of cell, and they sort of bond a sort of friendship over it, and they plan to escape the prison. And then they break out, and then it's them trying to survive outside of prison without being caught and going back to prison. It's a wonderful black comedy sort of film, really, really cool. 1980s film, I believe, 86, and it's black and white, but that gives it a good sort of art film, because John Jarmusch's films are all that kind of way. They're all kind of black and white and artly shot. So it's a fantastic film, an amazing release in Criterion. I do love this film so much. It will be, I've got a top 10 favourite Criterion releases coming up soon. This will definitely be in there. Where, you have to wait and see. But it's an incredible film. And the soundtrack has been done by Tom Waits as well. It's incredible, amazing film, quite funny, quite downbeat, and it's just really beautifully shot. Amazing film. So my second favourite film that isn't horror is Jim Jarmusch's Down by Law. So number one is the one film in there that might have a tinge of a horror element to it. Not a lot, but it does have a tinge of horror to it, in the sense of like the way people treat somebody someone who's unfortunate, should I say. And the way he's treated, and the way, because it's set in the Victorian times, it's quite harsh. But I'm talking about David Lynch's The Elephant Man, which is incredible, with Anthony Hopkins, John Hurt, and Anne Bancroft. This is an incredible release from Studio Canal. It's an amazing box set, really cool. This is the 4K edition, and it's absolutely thick as anything. The book is amazing. It's got a book, it's got art cards, it's got everything in there. But the film itself is wonderful. It's another true story. So how many true stories have I got in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. I've got 4 or 5 true stories in here, guys. I love my true stories, don't I? But I suppose you can't beat real life. It's a true story of John Merrick, who suffered from a disease called elephantitis, which was a sort of a deformative illness where the spine and the body was kind of twisted and warped, and so it made your body sort of parts grow into different sort of forms, and a lot of water was gathered in his body, especially in his head, which made it sort of like large and sort of inflated almost, and it gave the resemblance. That's why it's called the elephantitis, because it was large legs, large things, large head, and so it was sort of like really it's still about, but not as prevalent or talked about now. Some third world countries still have quite a few people that suffer from elephantitis. But yeah, so, and it goes through his story when he's discovered in a circus as a freak show by Anthony Hopkins, who plays a doctor at the local London sort of hospital, university hospital, and he has sort of seen him at this fair, and he takes him away to the hospital to try and see if they can treat him and his illness. And when they discover that they can't, that they allow him to stay living there within the hospital, and it goes through the horrendous things that he goes through, not from the hospital. He's treated lovely by the hospital staff. It's the people that the porter that works there. He sort of almost steals him out of there and sort of shows him off as like a freak to the world, and then the previous owner of the circus wants him back because he's a big attraction for his circus to make money. And so it's all about trying to make money out of this poor man's disfigurements, and that's where the horror element comes into it. I do semi-class it as a horror film as such, in that vein, but it's more of a Victorian drama, true story drama, and it's about John Merrick's coming to terms with this, and in sort of kind of strangely fitting in with society. The upper class society kind of accept him, and I kind of liked that storyline. I thought that was so cool. Anne Bancroft plays this famous sort of actress who would come to visit him regularly and was intrigued by his artwork because he was a great artist. He built out of wooden sticks. He built this of the church where he was staying. The view from the window of his rooms when he was staying in the hospital. So John Gielgud stars in it as the hospital sort of like boss, and you know they all appreciate John and what he's going through, and although they can't help him with his physical, they're trying to help him with his life being more enriched, and that's where the heartwarming comes. But it ends with a very sad sort of ending. It is quite a sad film. Again, it's a very downbeat film with no humour in it, but it's just wonderful. It blew me away, and this is from David Lynch, would you believe it? You know, the director of Eraserhead and things like this. But yeah, amazing film. So my favourite film that isn't horror is The Elephant Man. Massive shout out to my lad. See you soon, guys.